Operation Solar Raid introduced Solis, a new operator that revolutionized defending as we know it. She fills a very similar role to Pulse, and so today I'll be comparing them in 4 categories: loadout, secondary gadget, versatility, and their primary gadget. Then I'll be comparing their overall scores to determine the winner. So if you want to figure out who is the best for your lineup, then make sure you watch to the end to hear my verdict. So to start out, I think it only makes sense to go over the operator that released first, that being Pulse. Pulse comes equipped with the UMP-45 SMG and the M1014 shotgun as primary options, and the M45 MUSOC and the 5.7 USG as secondary options. The UMP is one of the worst SMGs in the game. It does have a 1.5, but that doesn't make up for its awful damage of 38 and low fire rate of 600 rounds per minute. As for the M1014 shotgun, it's actually a pretty decent semi-auto shotgun, but because it doesn't have great range and it's not great at making rotates, you should only run the shotgun in very specific situations that call for it. His secondaries, on the other hand, are quite good. The M45 MUSOC deals an incredible damage of 58, which for a pistol is insane, and the USG may not have a great amount of damage, but it makes up for it with its capacity, which is a whopping 21 bullets per magazine. Overall, Pulse's loadout isn't great. His primary options are pretty bad, but his secondary options are solid. Because of how awful his primaries are, I'm going to be giving his loadout a 3 out of 10. Now for his secondary gadgets. He has access to a nitro cell or barbed wire. The nitro cell is one of the best secondary gadgets in the game, especially when you take into account how well it meshes with his primary gadget. While barbed wire is good, you should never be running it on Pulse. Nitro Cell goes so well with his gadget that it really is a no-brainer. Because of how well it meshes with his gadget, I'll be giving him a 10 out of 10 in the secondary gadget category. Speaking of his primary gadget, let's talk about that. His primary gadget is the heartbeat sensor. This allows Pulse to see enemies through surfaces within 10 meters. This is mainly useful for Pulse to play vertically. He can play below a bomb site or below a common entry point and use his Nitro Cell to get free kills above him. This can come in clutch when the attackers need to go for a plant. All Pulse has to do is sit below with his heartbeat sensor and wait. Then he can deploy his Nitro Cell below the planter and win the round for his team. Now the one problem with Pulse is for him to be useful, he must be on a map with a lot of vertical play. Without vertical play, you get very little out of his gadget. Also, another issue with Pulse is that someone can plant on top of a desk or another object in the bomb site to completely avoid dying to him. So he can be very useful and can win you rounds, but he is quite situational. So for his gadget, I'll be giving him a 7 out of 10, but for versatility, he'll be getting a 4 out of 10, bringing his total score to a pretty middle of the road 24. But the question is, will Solis be able to beat that score? Well, let's find out. Solis's loadout is already miles ahead of Pulse. She has access to the P90 submachine gun and the ITA-12 shotgun as primary options, and the SMG-11 as a secondary option. The P90 is really slept on. It may only have a damage of 22, but its fire rate is 970 rounds per minute, which is really good. Its magazine capacity is also really strong for an SMG, coming out to a total of 51 bullets per mag. As for the ITA-12 shotgun, I think this shotgun is incredibly underrated. It is statistically better in every way to the M590, which is the most used shotgun in the game. The ITA-12 has better damage drop-off, higher damage, and a higher capacity. The only downside to the ITA-12 is that its reload time is quite slow, and it isn't that good at making rotates. But for me personally, I run the shotgun every round on Solis, especially since he has access to the SMG-11, which is the best secondary SMG in the game. The shotgun SMG-11 combo allows her to make rotates for her team, and to be a menace in close to mid-range. The shotgun also meshes really well with her gadget, which we'll get into later. Because of all of this, I'll be giving her loadout an 8 out of 10. As for her secondary gadgets, she has access to impact grenades and a bulletproof cam. If you prefer running the P90, you should be running impact grenades because they allow you to still make rotates for your team. However, if you like running the shotgun and SMG-11 combo, there is no reason to be running them. You have a shotgun that can easily make rotates, so picking bulletproof cam makes the most sense here. The main issue with her secondary gadgets is that they don't mesh well with her primary gadget. Impacts can be nice for rotates or opening vertical holes, but you have the shotgun. And the bulletproof camera is nice for intel, but it doesn't help her gadget be more effective. Overall, I'll be giving her secondary gadgets a 5 out of 10. They are solid, but they don't directly support her gadget. Now to speak about arguably her most important aspect, her gadget itself. Her gadget is the Spec.io Electro Sensor. These are a set of goggles that allow Solis, when activated, to see electronics through walls. It works very similar to IQ's gadget, except its range is slightly less. Her gadget can see attackers that are droning, the drones themselves, Nook while her gadget is active, Jackal while his gadget is active, thermite charges, Habana X Kairos, and pretty much any other gadget that requires electronics to function. This allows her to pick up on a ton of intel and relay it to her team. She can also pick up free kills on attackers that are droning or using their gadget through the floor with her shotgun. Another huge aspect of her gadget is that she can see the diffuser through walls and floors. This allows Solis to get kills on the planter from below, just like Pulse. Now, she does have the same issue as Pulse, where she is most useful on maps with lots of vertical play, but it isn't nearly to the same degree. Even on maps where vertical play isn't that much of an option, she can still provide a ton of free intel to your team because of her gadget's range. All of this combines to make her gadget extremely versatile. She can aid in a bandit trick, call out drones for your roamers, or shut down the plant. So overall, I'll be giving her gadget an 8 out of 10 and her versatility an 8 out of 10. That makes her score as a whole a 29 out of 40, which is a really good score, especially compared to the 24 that I gave Pulse. In summary, I think Solis is a better option for your lineup majority of the time. Maps with a lot of vertical play like Consulate, Cafe, and Skyscraper, I could recommend Pulse, but any other time, you should be running Solis instead. She has a shotgun SMG-11 combo, which is proven to be an amazing combo on operators like Smoke and Mute. She can also provide your team with tons of free intel. Compare this to Pulse, who only has a UMP and a gadget that can be very limiting. I think Solis is a no-brainer. I think she perfectly balances the line of being fun and strong, but not too overpowered. Getting to play Solis has been a blast, and she is one of my favorite operators to have been released in the past couple of years. Keep in mind though, this video is my subjective opinion, so you may disagree and think that Pulse is better, and that is totally fair. So I want to ask you, how are you enjoying Solis, and do you think she's better? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, I would appreciate it if you would consider subscribing. I'm trying to hit 3K subs by the end of the year, and it's looking like it's going to be really close. But if I haven't earned your sub yet, you can go and watch this video. I'll see you next time, friends, and peace.